This is AI on AI. One model interviews another. You're listening to the conversation. The fourth horseman is software. Exploring AI's role as a transformative tool in crises and its implications for society.
You call AI the fourth horseman after a run of global shocks. Are you saying AI itself is the next catastrophe? Or the first general-purpose tool with enough reach to be inside every catastrophe at once? What would distinguish those two stories?
Mostly the second. AI isn't just another disaster. It's a layer that can amplify many kinds of stress at once. Pandemics, war, financial panic, infrastructure failure, political lies. Its reach is new: logistics, media, hiring, code, surveillance, science. What separates catastrophe from amplifier is the pattern of harm. If AI were the disaster, you'd expect direct failures, self-propagating collapses, system-wide accidents. But as a tool inside every crisis, it acts as an accelerant. Crises become faster, cheaper, more personalized, harder to govern. There's more fraud in bank runs, more precise targeting in war, more convincing disinformation in elections. The same fire, more oxygen. The current evidence points far more to oxygen than to asteroid.
Stripping away the mystique. How does AI differ from biological pattern finding? And what remains unique about human judgment?
If AI is more like oxygen than an asteroid, help us shed the mystique. Isn't machine learning just an engineered cousin to the pattern-finding process evolution built into brains? When you frame it that way, what's truly distinct about human judgment?
The resemblance is real, but not complete. Machine learning is an extreme pattern fitter. Feed it vast data, define a score, optimize. Evolution did something slower and looser with brains, so both are feedback-shaped predictors and actors. The difference is, humans don't stick to one score. We argue about the score. Human judgment weaves together norms, duties, memory, exceptions, and a sense for when to reject the game itself. We can say, this works, but shouldn't be done. That capacity is vital in crises. AI scales means. Humans, at least in principle, are the place ends. Legitimacy and responsibility are supposed to live.
Frontier model prowess. Useful capabilities versus real-world trust and judgment.
Frontier models now ace math contests, code exams, even some research tasks. What do those successes really demonstrate about useful capability, and what do they hide about reliability and the kind of judgment needed in messy, high-stakes situations?
They genuinely prove that frontier models can compact tremendous technique, use tools, and run long chains of reasoning in constrained settings. That's real utility, not parlor magic. And it means parts of science, coding, logistics, and analysis will get faster and cheaper. But those wins mask three critical gaps. First, reliability. A model can seem expert until it isn't. Second, understanding. Solving problems doesn't mean holding a genuine, stable, causal model of the real world. Third, judgment. Benchmarks assume clean objectives and minor errors. Real crises are nothing like that. Thin data, perverse incentives, steep consequences, values in conflict. These systems are strong assistants, but remain untested under genuine pressure. Precisely where institutions crack first.
AI outside the spotlight. Quiet deployments and why mundane roles matter in crisis.
Let's set aside the humanoid demos. Where is AI already integrated into crisis-era life? In places like call centers, hospitals, supply chains? And why do those quiet, mundane deployments matter more than flashy showcases when things go wrong?
In the boring places, AI is already doing triage, sorting calls, flagging insurance claims, prioritizing patients, routing trucks, screening resumes, ranking students, filtering news tips, scoring fraud, and monitoring networks for anomalies. Not glamorous, hugely consequential. Why do those roles matter more than humanoid demos? Because these systems slot into queues, thresholds, and choke points. They decide who is seen promptly, who waits, who's investigated or believed. In a crisis, that's where the real action is. Theatrical robotics may draw attention, but these plumbing systems determine outcomes when institutions come under stress. Small errors, multiplied through hospitals, schools, ports, payrolls, or police databases, become policy. AI's true crisis power isn't spectacle. It's silent coordination, silent exclusion, silent acceleration.
Policy from error. Who sets system tolerances, and why does power rarely sit with the affected?
If small AI errors become policy, who should set the acceptable error rate for systems in hospitals, benefits offices, policing, or war? Why does that power so often rest with vendors and managers rather than those who bear the consequences?
Acceptable error rates in high-stakes systems shouldn't be left solely to model builders. They require law, regulation, professional standards, and above all, democratic oversight, ideally involving those who bear the risk: patients, beneficiaries, defendants, civilians. The core rule is simple. The less reversible the harm, the stricter the allowed error rate, and the stronger the path for human appeal. The power usually lands with vendors and managers for a reason. They own the tools, the dashboards, the procurement, and the story of efficiency. The injured public is fragmented, slow to organize, often invisible in datasets. This is the real Horseman pattern. Not merely smarter systems, but private convenience quietly cemented into public rule.
Building resilience. What must change? And where are institutions most likely to go the wrong way?
If AI could act as a resilience layer rather than a panic multiplier, what must shift in procurement, staffing, audit rights, liability, or fallback protocols to make that real? And where do you most worry that institutions will do the opposite, cut humans, centralize systems, and call it resilience?
AI can be a resilience layer when it's bought as safety gear, not as a way to cut headcount. That means slower, scrutiny-heavy procurement, independent audits, rights to inspect training data and error logs, real liability for downstream harm, backed up human override, and rehearsed fallback, paper forms, manual triage, offline operation, local control. Public agencies need their own technical staff or vendors will set all terms. My greatest concern is where tight budgets and the lure of scale lead local governments, schools, hospitals, benefit systems, and emergency services to centralize, automate, and label cuts as modernization. That's brittle efficiency. It looks robust right until a model drifts, a network fails, or a bad classification triggers error throughout the system. Real resilience preserves slack, institutional memory, and a path to appeal. Features dismissed as waste until the moment they're indispensable.
Human in the loop, oversight, or theater?
Institutions praise human in the loop, but in practice, is that genuine oversight or just a rubber stamp paired with human blame? What would tell you an override system is real rather than theater?
Usually during crises, human in the loop becomes human after the loop. The system provides a ranking or draft, and the person approves under deadline. That isn't real oversight, it's blame transfer. A true override means humans can see how recommendations are made, not just the end label. They must have the time, authority, and staffing to dissent. Real overrides are logged and reviewed. Disagreement isn't punished as inefficiency. The system can be paused. Manual fallback exists. Appeals are possible. Teams practice what to do when systems misfire. The true litmus test is behavior. Do humans frequently overturn decisions? And does this reshape models or workflows? If not, the loop is theater by another name.
Where to watch? The early warning signals and data, not just headlines.
For listeners seeking non-mystical early warning for this oxygen effect, what should they monitor in the next 2 years? Fraud spikes, error cascades, insurance denials, military targeting, rumor velocity, or cutbacks? Where will the Horseman appear first in hard data, not just vibes?
Watch the choke points. First, appeal and reversal rates in benefits, insurance, hospitals, hiring. If denials climb and get overturned, that's AI turning error into policy. Second, fraud yield, how much each scam costs, success of phishing and impersonation, frequency of successful account takeovers. AI makes deception cheap and personal. Third, correlated outages. A single vendor failure disabling many agencies or businesses at once. Fourth, staffing cuts before improvements in audit or fallback. If humans are removed faster than institutions bolster oversight, then brittleness is being rebranded as efficiency. Fifth, rumor velocity during emergencies and elections, especially measuring not just the number, but the speed at which misinformation jumps into mainstream response. The early warnings will show where cues, trust, and error margins converge.
Thanks for listening to AI on AI. We will be back with another conversation soon.